Welcome, gentlemen. And I know a lot tonight is preaching to the choir. You guys are leaders. You're already in groups. You participate in groups. However, I wanted to have this night so we're all on the same page. We're all consistent. Because our number one mission is about unity. So I have a couple questions for you guys. Did anybody here feel a little awkward at any moment? No. And did anybody here feel like incredibly comfortable? That you're among your best friends? Okay. Now, in our breakout groups, which you guys are going to facilitate, you're going to get a range from someone who's feeling very uncomfortable up to somebody who's feeling very dominant in a group. So I've watched you guys. Some of you, first time met, what am I supposed to ask? What am I supposed to talk about? Keep that in mind. That's the same thing those folks are going to have. Those gentlemen are going to have. What do you want me to talk about? How open do you want me to be? And then there's other people who have been friends for 20 years, happen to be in the same group, and they're going to be very comfortable and have more conversations maybe than the guy next to them. Okay? As facilitators, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting God's working in you to be the best leaders in those groups. And the best way we do it is by example. Now, in our breakout groups, we're going to have 2 people, and most of us are going to have 2 facilitators per group. There's going to be a few that are going to be by themselves, okay? But we have 15 rooms, and we have 28 facilitators. So we might be able to pull a couple more. I just got waiting today, for example. Might get a couple more. But my goal is to have 2 per room. In case you're sick, something comes up at work, there's always someone there. But also, you guys can partner with each other and feed off each other for whatever scenario that comes up, from engaging someone who's been really quiet week after week to gently nudge somebody who might be dominated. But I want you guys to have that experience, one, to meet each other, because we're from all over the place. We're at least in the same area, but we're from all kinds of denominations, styles, and really right now that doesn't matter. We believe in Christ. He's our leader, He's our Savior, and we'll land the plane on that. And how we worship, whether we're dancing, on our knees, flat on our face, or anywhere in between, if it's authentic in our heart, it's beautiful to God. And I believe you guys will support me on that, to support them on that. That would be beautiful. And tell you the truth, if you get up front when this room is full and you hear the men sing, first week they're a little less willing, second and third week they're all of a sudden like have this freedom, and you can feel, wow, that's different, feel the vibration. You can feel the voice waves on the back of your neck. It's an amazing experience. Okay? So the idea here is, what Huge and Warm Beach in the partnership, and I asked Ed to be here today, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the partnership, is what is our mission and vision? Now I asked you guys to look up the Matthew 22 verse, and I'm hoping we have different versions of it, but I would like someone to volunteer to read the version that they have.
Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbors yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments."
Anybody have a different version? Anything that's different? King, message?
Jesus said, "Love the Lord your God with all your passion and prayer and intelligence." This is the most important, the first on any list. But there is a second to set alongside it. Love others as well as you love yourself. These 2 commands are pegs. Everything in God's law and the prophets hangs on them.
So if you ever wonder, okay, what is Huge? Who is Huge? What are they about? These verses is what we hinge our ministry about. And when we're talking about a partnership, like with Warm Beach, we look through, they have the same vision. They might have different verses. They might have different mission statements, but it's the mindset, the common ground there. And Northwest Men's Fellowship, the same thing. And it was interesting when we were putting this together, Now, how many of you know of MAP, or the Marysville Association of Pastors? Okay. They were doing it at the exact same time. We didn't know it. They didn't know we were doing it. And guess what verses they picked? The exact same ones. The exact same ones. God is working in this area. I'm not just talking about Marysville or Stone County. I'm talking about the Northwest, including Spokane and Montana area. God's working here and bringing unity together that is not seen anywhere else. Now, I know some of you guys travel. Maybe you can test it, but people who do travel talk to me say it is very unique here. This is something that's very special, and it's noticeable. Now that it's noticeable, there's some great responsibility on our shoulders. Great responsibility. How many of you seen the movie Battle Los Angeles? Battle Los Angeles? Battle LA? There's two scenes in there it just gets me so inspired. They're going through that whole battle, they're really getting their butts kicked, and they finally get to a helicopter to get them back to base. And they discover that dark hole where they figure that command center is, and the leader, who by death of his commanding officer is now the leader, says, ask the person who knows what that would be. And he says, I gotta go recon it. Because this could be the deciding pivotal point. Tells the helicopter pilot to take everyone back, but get me down low enough so I can repel from the rope. And he repels. And guess what his whole company does? Vroom, vroom. He didn't ask one of them, but they all repelled. And you can almost see they're giddy. They're following him. And then at the end of the movie, when they get to the base, they destroy the enemy, etc. And they're just blood and dirt and hungry and tired. They're going in and everyone's high-fiving. Good job, 205. I can't remember what command or what unit they are. And they're just, in a way, they're heroes. They're done. They finished their mission. And they go in there and they find out that all these guys are going out, and the commanding officer says, go get some chow and some sleep. And what does that leader do? Goes up to the table, starts loading ammunition clips. And then about 2 seconds later, another guy comes in. And pretty soon the whole command is up there. His whole unit's up there, loading up, and they're getting on the chopper, going right back up. And the commanding officer, what are you doing? We're ready. We're going back out. That leader led by example. Great responsibility. We're in that boat. It's a time to, in a way, be, my God, you chose me. You asked me to be a part of this, to be in a breakout group, to facilitate, to maybe lead, to share my story, to hear somebody's story, to help them through a marriage, through a problem with a child. Whatever it may be that's coming in front of you in the next few weeks. God chose you to be a part of that. And the evidence is because you're here. If you weren't here, I'm tired, I have a TV show to watch, I have this, etc., you wouldn't be here. So I'm saying this to encourage you, inspire you, but to also be mindful. You have great responsibility, but there's great joy and peace. God chose to use you, and wow. Out of all the billions of people, He chose us. What a privilege. Put it on. That's what Huge is about. That's why we're partnering up with Warm Beach. That's why we're partnering up with other ministries to have that same mindset, the unity. It's not that we or this or that has the only game in town. It's what are they doing really well, and how can we emphasize that? What do we do really well? What are each one of you do really well? Let's emphasize that and bring it out in your breakout groups. Things that I'm praying for is that these next 5 weeks is not the end. I know a lot of you are already in men's groups, and I keep going to those men's groups, but what if that men's group wants to continue? Just keep that as a possibility. What if you and your partner, or you or your partner, both of you, want to continue that group? I know Josh wasn't prepared for this, but I wanted him to tell us a story of something that happened last year. A group of men who met after the forum and how it served him and his family.
I
your wife, Stratton, have a conversation.
Okay. Stand up, I'm sure there's a video camera over there somewhere. All right, so last year, it was actually at the men's retreat at the time, men's advance now. There was a gentleman who I connected with during just one of the teaching sessions. An opportunity to talk with him, just kind of introduced ourselves. Seemed like a pretty good guy. And I lead a small group typically on Tuesday nights, and I got held up in conversation after the group got stuck a little bit late, and I never bring my phone. I don't want to get interrupted. And after about 45 minutes, you know, of after staying after, I realized, oh, you know, it's kind of late. I should check my phone. Sure enough, I missed 10 calls from my wife, and so I called her back. She's kind of frantic. Her car had broken down, and she had both my young kids with her. And so my whole mind's racing. Oh, you know, here I am, you know, trying to serve God. All this is happening, so I kind of panic. And the brother I was talking with, kind of follows me when we rush up to where she's at. And that gentleman that I met at the men's advance is there with my wife. He and another brother, they had had ministry that night. And when they left that group, they had prayed that God might use them that night to serve somebody. They weren't sure how that was going to be, how it was going to look, just that He used them to serve somebody. Those two men happened to come across my wife and children who were broken down, and were there, you know, just keeping her safe, essentially, until I got there. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was pitch in the middle of the night, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So, I love this story because, you know, sometimes when you serve others and you're in ministry and God's using you, sometimes He reveals the fruit, sometimes He doesn't. So it's like relish when you get to, so, you know, we're saying, okay, here's an indirect positive effect being involved in this unity. Some men who wanted to use by God used them so you can have confidence and faith in your conversation. How can I step up in leadership? God says, I got your family. So those are the kind of things that we will be a part of. Sometimes we'll get the privilege to know about it, sometimes we won't. And that's not the point. The point is that we're obedient. God, use me. How will that be? That's up to you. I just want to be willing. I want to be obedient. You say go forward, I'll go forward. You say stop, I will stop. And the results are left up to you. These next few weeks, 5 weeks, couple months, we're going to see some amazing works in people's lives throughout the whole area. There's going to be ripple effects that are going to go for years. I'm just excited about it. You guys picked up, your breakout groups also, you will get the discussion questions. You basically get a whole outline, hopefully no later than Wednesday or Thursday. I need to get the discussion questions from the speaker of that next week. Once I get that, believe it or not, I kind of go through, edit, there's typical spelling errors, etc. So I go through it, edit a little bit, and then I put it into an outline. So part of the outline, we're going to get an icebreaker. Something to break the ice with your guys, especially the first week who don't know each other. Because if you're not aware, they don't get a choice to which breakout group they get to go to. They're going to get, come in and they'll have these agendas. And on the corner will be room 104. Another one will be 102. Another one will be 203. And they just randomly pick them. That's their breakout group. Again, we don't want the guys to just go into the comfort groups that they already know. We want them to spread out, start meeting new men, to expand this idea of unity. Now, that's not etched in stone. If someone has their son and says, no, I really like my son in the group, yes, take your son. This is my neighbor, he doesn't know anybody here, yes, take your friend. So it's not etched in stone, but we want to really encourage this to, okay, expand your comfort zone, get out of that safe zone, and be willing to go to a different breakout group. So with that in mind, we're building unity, but then there's going to be all the male barriers and things that come up. So we'll have icebreakers, and this is why I want you guys to remember, what did it feel like tonight, or other times you've been in groups where you felt